Well, Warburg was an interesting character. As a matter of fact, Sam Apple just wrote the book Ravenous, which is Warburg's history. He did a very good job on his book on going over the early parts of Warburg's career, and he had come from a very aristocratic, scientific background where many of his friends and his father's friends were all of the elite scientists of Germany. Einstein and a number of these other top physicists, biochemists, and these kind. And Warburg was into this crowd, so he had this very egalitarian background of aristocratic, scientific knowledge with a bent of strict biochemistry with physics approach to this whole thing. I mean, he served in the Deutsches Heer, the German army in the First World War. He was an equestrian of a cavalry regiment in Prussia. So Einstein apparently got him out of the army because they felt that he was too valuable to be riding his horse on the Russian front, coaxing the enemy to take a shot at him. And they said his loss would be too of a great loss to science. So he was brought back and set up his own lab in Berlin. He had several labs over the years, so he started all this stuff, and his work was recognized. He didn't receive a Nobel Prize for his work on cancer, but he did for his work on defining the enzyme responsible for generating energy through oxygen, the cytochrome C. He called it the respiratory enzyme. So he knew energy metabolism in the cell better than anyone else at that time. He worked with Emden, he worked with Meyerhoff, he worked with all the great thinkers and biochemists of that day. And he was able to understand the origin of energy metabolism in cancer. And he was the one, he and others showed that, if a tumor were growing in a rat and you gave the rat cyanide, the rat will die, but not the tumor. So the tumor doesn't use oxygen. Why the cancer cell doesn't die from this is because they're fermenting and using fermentation, a completely different energy mechanism. It happens not in the mitochondria, it happens in the cytoplasm. Actually, a part of it does happen in the mitochondria. It's called mitochondrial substrate level phosphorylation. And we have defined that as the second major source. But that can also happen without oxygen. So we have two forms of energy in the cancer cell, neither of which need oxygen. And they're both these ancient fermentation pathways. One is in the cytoplasm of the cell, and the other is in the mitochondria of the cell. Now, it's very important when I speak like this, because there's a lot of folks out there that might not be familiar with the terminology. And as I say to cancer patients, if you want to stay alive, it would be in your interest to understand basic biology, because the guys who are going to treat you at the top medical schools appear not to have that level of knowledge. Otherwise, they wouldn't be treating you with the way they're treating you. So it's up to every individual who would like to survive cancer to understand some of the things that I'm saying.